Failure to follow installation instructions and not using the provided hardware may damage the intake tube, throttle body, and engine. Tools needed to install kit number 63-3071 include a flat blade screwdriver, a ratchet and extension, a 7mm and 10mm socket, a 5/32 Allen wrench, a 10mm wrench, a T30 Torx socket, and pliers. To start, turn off the ignition and disconnect the negative battery cable. Remove the oil fill cap and then remove the engine cover from the engine. Reinstall the oil fill cap. Disconnect the crankcase vent hose from the valve cover. Loosen the two hose clamps which secure the stock intake tube to the throttle body and mass air sensor. Remove the complete stock intake tube assembly from the vehicle. Disconnect the mass air sensor electrical connection. Remove the two airbox mounting nuts. Remove the complete airbox assembly from the vehicle. Remove the airbox mounting stud. Install the heat shield mounting bracket, part number 07190, onto the airbox mounting stud using the provided hardware. Note: do not completely tighten at this time. Install the provided edge trim onto the heat shield. Note: the edge trim will need to be cut into two sections. Install the filter adapter into the heat shield and secure with the provided hardware. Install the heat shield assembly into the vehicle and secure it to the mounting bracket installed in step number 10 and to the airbox mounting stud location. Install the silicone hose, part number 08618, onto the throttle body and secure with the provided hose clamp. Install the provided silicone hose, part number 08418, onto the filter adapter and secure with the provided hose clamp. Loosen the hose clamp and remove the mass air sensor from the factory airbox. Install the provided silicone hose, part number 08761, onto the mass air sensor and secure with the provided hose clamp. Note the airflow direction of the mass air sensor by the arrow embossed on the side. Install the provided silicone hose, part number 08536, onto the mass air sensor and secure with the provided hose clamp. Install the small intake tube into the silicone hose at the filter adapter. Note: do not tighten the hose clamp at this time. The part number stamped into the tube should be facing down when correctly installed. Install the mass air sensor assembly onto the K&N intake tube. Note: do not completely tighten at this time. Note the airflow direction of the mass air sensor by the arrow embossed on the side. Install the crankcase fitting into the K&N intake tube. Install the K&N intake tube with the mass air sensor into the silicone hose at the throttle body and onto the intake tube on the filter adapter. Rotate and adjust the intake tubes for proper fit and then secure the assembly with the hose clamps. Note: be sure to place the mass air sensor connection at a 45-degree angle towards the rear of the car. Connect the provided mass air sensor extension harness to the factory connector and then to the mass air sensor. Route the wiring harness behind the mass air sensor for clearance from the engine cover. Connect the crankcase vent hose to the valve cover port and then connect the open end of the vent fitting installed into the K&N intake tube. Remove the oil fill cap and reinstall the engine cover. Reinstall the oil fill cap. Install the air filter and secure with the provided hose clamp. Reconnect the negative battery cable. Double check to make sure everything is tight and properly positioned before starting your vehicle. It will be necessary for all K&N Performance air intake kits to be checked periodically for realignment, clearance, and tightening of all connections. So remember to review the instruction sheet to make sure all steps were followed. After 100 miles of driving, check the nuts and bolts and retighten them if necessary.